I did not get into the most traditional way. I'm hearing other universities have started. SOAS has just reintroduced this like Columbia Law School partnership. This could be a whole essay. Somebody needs to write to Parliament because these prices of accommodation for students, it's just 1k or 500 a month for like traveling in London. What in the heck is that university? Welcome if you're new around here. My name is Halima. I'm a second year law student in London. Thank you for tuning into this video. It's very university specific. This one area is highly demanded and I totally understand because listen, SOAS is gate kept. Today I'll be answering every single one of your questions. I'm going to make sure that you come out of this video understanding what you're getting into if you're applying to SOAS, and this forms a bit of your larger research. There are literally no student sort of relatable content, so listen, make sure you subscribe. If you haven't already checked out my last video about the day in the life of a law student at SOAS, make sure to check that out. I'm going to put it up here, and the only way in which you're going to see more of my content like this is if you say subscribe. So make sure you click that subscribe button right now. I'm gonna wait. Let's give us 5 seconds. I'm waiting. Okay, I'm trusting that you went to go and click the subscribe button. But anyways, let's move on. I'm going to be collating from a bunch of questions I've gotten on TikTok, Instagram, DMs, YouTube comments. I think I've gotten full coverage here. Towards the end of the video, I'll be doing like a quick fire question and A. So make sure that you stay till the end because you don't gatekeep it, but you've got to stay. So I've split up this video into 7 sections. So the first section is about me, what I'm studying at SOAS and the modules. The second section is a full-blown SOAS section, everything you need to know about SOAS, entry requirements, and also applying to SOAS and the courses that are really popular. The third section is going to be about my journey to SOAS. I did not get into SOAS the most traditional way. The fourth section is going to be about accommodation, everyone's favorite. Is accommodation in London worth it? So I'm going to give you all my tips and my brutal honest opinion on accommodation in London because somebody needs to write to Parliament. Somebody needs to write to Parliament because these prices of accommodation for students is just extortionate. Section number 5 is going to be about traveling to SOAS. The 6th section is going to all be about law at SOAS. What distinguishes law at SOAS compared to other universities. And the final section, the T, the absolute T, the everything SOAS. All of you guys' questions. That's it. Let's get into the video. No time to waste. Guys, like I'm just starting to deep like how much information I've got on this thing. It's ridiculous. Guys, look. This could be a whole essay. Okay, breathe. If I look down at my iPad, please guys, I beg, please. It's because I just need to re-jog my memory. Okay, about me. My name's Halima. I'm a law student at SOAS. I'm studying a law LLB degree. So that means that it is a qualifying law degree. There are other options at SOAS to take other types of law degrees. I'll go into that in the law section. Why did I choose it? Because I wanted something that was qualifying even though I was interested in other subject areas. But do I have regrets about it? So now about SOAS. So it's located in the heart of London. Most people would associate SOAS with like North London. For me, it's never really rung until I go to football practices. As far as I'm concerned, SOAS is in central London. It's literally not far from Oxford Street. It's on Tottenham Court Road. Mallet Street is just right there. UCL's across the road. And I think it's a nice hub. It's a nice, quiet, chill area. But then you can pop into the busier bits, like just on the outskirts. I love the environment. There's a great mix of like cafes, you know, shopping areas. What else? Green spaces, libraries. I could talk about libraries for days, bro. I thought SOAS was going to be pretty close to King's Cross and I would go to British Library quite often, but it's quite far out and British Library area is just it's too noisy. See, SOAS is like literally in that one area that is just like really nice and quiet. So SOAS entry requirements, it does range from an A, AA to BBB, depending on the course and contextual information. Go on the site, reach out to SOAS directly as well to gain more information. And I know that BTECs and IBs are acceptable. And so here's the link to the entry requirements. I'm also going to link it down below. So how would I describe SOAS? I'd probably say SOAS is like the perfect blend between creativity, academia, as well as like progressiveness. On the SOAS website, website, it literally describes itself as the home to the leading research and expertise on the global issues of today. Our students engage with our academics on these issues throughout their study. Our decolonial outlook on education allows us to strive for a more equal and just world. We are committed to building and forging equitable global partnerships. I think this literally summarizes like SOAS. That is literally what SOAS does. I mean, I don't know what else to say. That's the bespokeness of it, like compared to other universities, is the fact that it specializes in post-colonial theory and adding that to any form of academics, whether it is philosophy, economics, law, etc. Overall, applying SOAS takes the same form as most universities. You do it through UCAS, write a personal statement, LNAT for law as well, and they're quite regular with like their clearing process. And then courses at SOAS, econ, law, global development, philosophy, history, everything is with a touch of like post-colonialism. Oh yeah, languages, Korean, Chinese, Arabic, Persian. Guys, it's crazy. But yeah, really established for like politics, IR and development. I know it's like one of the best. And they offer courses at foundation, undergraduate and master's levels, and all of the levels are pretty well established throughout the world. Okay, so my journey to SOAS. When I first did my applications for university, not a clue about SOAS. I'm not one bit surprised because I wasn't looking crazy in London until my gap year. And I came across SOAS. So I was doing some research online and I came across this video, and it was just as simple as in the thumbnail. I was like, what in the heck is that university? So after getting my place at my firm university, I was pretty happy and content on going there. However, results day is reality for everyone. Was like, no. I had a list of universities I wanted to consider, and SOAS was one of them on the top of my list after I'd missed my offer by 1 grade, which was great. I think the first week at SOAS was really funny because enrollment was just like, what's going on here? Like, I'm hearing other universities have started. The first week was just like introductions, but there was only like 1 introduction session and nobody knew what was going on other than the fact that there were strikes. If that doesn't scream SOAS to you, what does? Anyways, in all honesty and in all seriousness, I've really enjoyed my time here. I have not a single regret because being here has allowed me to focus on stuff that I want to focus on, because I don't think any other place, any other university would have been best for specializing in post-colonial theory. Is one area that I'm interested in. So as for accommodation, everyone loves this year. This year's accommodation is pretty good. I got an accommodation for like around 180 to like 190 per week. Really nice accommodation through SOAS, and like there's a massive partnership with them. I think they're continuing that partnership next year. It's a Vegas student accommodation. There are other student accommodations at SOAS, such as 𝘷𝘪𝘥𝘰. I refuse to speak on that space. Mixed university ones, so you've got like students that go to LSE, King's, UCL with SOAS students, and it gives more of that like collegiate kind of vibe. They offer catering, so it ain't a bad shot if you don't really know how to cook. For me, I know how to cook, so nobody is cooking food for me. The most popular accommodation at SOAS, I think at least is popular, and it's always talked about, is 𝘷𝘪𝘥𝘰. I think certain blocks apparently have a better reputation than others. Do your research where you can. I can't tell you about 𝘷𝘪𝘥𝘰 too much, but take from the information that I've given you what you can. 𝘷𝘪𝘥𝘰 is probably the most sociable accommodation. There's also other accommodations I forgot to mention that are like University of London accommodations. So you've got Vegas, like pretty much like that, but you've got also Urban Nest. Urban Nest is actually across the road from Vega. There's like another Urban Nest which is right next to SOAS, towards like the King's Cross area. Commuting or staying in accommodation, well, what can I say about this, guys? Honestly, living in accommodation is not that much of a flex because like most SOAS students, they're living at home. I'm just like, I wish I could be safe and pee. I really wish. SOAS, in terms of social life, as you will understand, when I get to the Q&A section, it's not the biggest sociable, but it is getting better in terms of like social activities, but it's not the university that you go to party. Like everyone's pretty much in out. I forgot to also mention that the price of the accommodation is likely to be subject to change, so do not take this video and think, oh yeah, it's definitely going to be that price. It's just a bit of a guidance. That's how much it was in the 2020 2023 to 2024 year. Okay, now for travel into uni. What is travel like? Well, I've had like a fair share of experience when it comes to travel. I've done bus, train. I've made mistakes with trains. Bus, train, and then obviously cycling. I think cycling is the best thing you can do for yourself. If you're living in London and if it's convenient, do it. In my first year, I cycled. The first week of uni, I was catching train and the money was just going. It was just going. Whereas I pay £100 a year to cycle in London. £100 a year. Tell me that's not a bargain. And I paid for it like November. So I left for the summer and I came back and it was still active for like September. Other bikes, make sure you sponsor me, because I've been talking about this for a very long time. I'm not saying this because somebody's holding a gun to my head. I genuinely believe in the cause. People should be cycling to uni. It's so convenient. And I had no excuse but to cycle on a day that I was late, because catching a train was going to take me half an hour. Honestly, it's such a good morning workout. As for paying for train, TfL, I can't lie, you get an oyster if you're going to go the TfL route of things. If you can, try and catch a bus wherever you need to go. Only on days that I'm feeling really lazy, then I'll catch the train. Somebody told me about them spending like £500 a month for like traveling in London. I find that ridiculous. I cannot allow that amount of money to leave my bank account. Do you know what I could buy with that? Food. More importantly, a mortgage. And so on the point of travel, the most convenient and like hotspot areas for travel, you got Russell Square, Goodge Street and TCR. Literally, those were the main train stations and you can catch buses from them. Okay, so now for law at SOAS. For you guys who are really interested in what makes my law degree here different to others. I mentioned earlier about the different kind of law degrees that you can get at SOAS. So you can get an LLB, law qualifying one, or BA. So like law with sociology. They don't offer sociology here, but that's just an example. But they offer law with politics. I was considering that for a couple of seconds, but I was like, yeah, no, I need a qualifying degree. Do I regret it? Not necessarily. I'm really interested in politics, but I don't have enough money to be paying for more courses when I come out of university. Also, I have the option to take optional courses. So I've had the option to take optional modules such as concepts in political theory, which I really enjoyed. I'm also taking a couple next year. I think like the politics of miracle economies, that's it. Yeah, so like you can literally kind of shape your degree, so it's not something that I would worry about. I do think it's good to like really research into what does the degree consist of and what level of optional modules you have. In first year you have no optional modules. After that you get more. Third year I think you get the most options, and then you also have the option to pick some courses at a external university in London. So that's what I'm doing for next year at King's. I also wanted to mention that SOAS do a year abroad program as well. So that's the other form of law with something. So you just do a year out and travel abroad to do some like work experience or travel to another university. Somebody was telling me about how they went to, I can't remember, Morocco or something, and it was the best experience for them. And they got funding for that through the, let me remember the name of it. If you want to go on an abroad opportunity, apply to this. Okay, I managed to find. I was trying to remember what it was named, and I knew it was named after a male. I was like, what's the name? It's called the Turing scheme. So if you're interested in that, most universities won't put it on their website. They won't tell you about these bursaries and stuff, but that is a way to get, I think, a bursary to go abroad, and that is funded by the government. Okay, back to the questions. Also to mention that SOAS has just reintroduced this Columbia Law School partnership. In previous years it apparently did it. I did not have a clue. Not a clue. Like most of these London universities do this Columbia Law partnership. If any of you guys have any questions and are interested in applying there or need help when it comes to the time, if SOAS is still doing that, feel free to reach out or comment down below any questions. But yeah, it's super cool that SOAS offered that, and I feel like that is something that is totally gate-kept. But it made sense because it was only reintroduced this year. And then on the point of what kind of makes my law degree at SOAS particularly different, as I mentioned before about the nature of SOAS being post-colonial, critical, that kind of studies. I think that is like the biggest perspective that it offers you. In every single course, other than the core modules, you have an opportunity to think about the law in a revisionist, in a different perspective, in a more progressive perspective. So we do a legal systems of Africa and Asia module, which offers that lens of like the flight of like Asian and African people and understanding what that means today. There is the option to do optional modules that relate to those areas. So I did Islamic law, and that was a super interesting, that was my favorite module, just to put words to it. So there really is so many opportunities to think widely compared to other London universities. I know that like at QM, instead of what we do as legal systems of Africa and Asia, they do jurisprudence. I love the thought of jurisprudence, so it was a bit of a shame figuring that out a bit later, but I think it is what it is. Like, I'm going to take jurisprudence next year at King's, so it works out anyways. Okay, so now I'm on to the bit about SOAS, like just everything SOAS. This is going to be quick fires. So what's the quality of education like at SOAS? It's really good, really the same to like any other school. The only difference is that the way in which stuff are taught. So I might miss out a concept, or a concept is not really emphasized at SOAS but is at another university. So for example, I was revising like during exam season with one of my friends at QM, and we were discussing the concept. We totally understand the same concept, but the way in which they've been taught is different to me. It's pretty natural that different universities will have different styles of wanting to teach the law. Okay, so societies at SOAS, and like a great experience. But I did netball, football. I joined a society outside of SOAS, so I went to the King's Athletics Club. What else did I do? I did Law Society, I did a bit of bar and mooting, and then this year I was like doing some leadership stuff. I went to the debating society. There's so many opportunities. If you can't find a society here, just go outside. That is my biggest recommendation. I think the best way to make friends is literally through societies. People at uni in general, it's a decent mix. Some more academic-y, who are just like focused. Some people that are just very put to themselves. Some people that are more hippie vibe. Some people that are very cultural. It really is a mix. It's such a mix. Oh, I just remembered. I forgot a question here. Oh, I need to go back onto YouTube. I forgot a question. I don't know how I forgot these questions. This is just ridiculous. How did this happen? So going back to societies regarding ACS is, we've struggled these last 2 years, but I know a couple of people that are going to be on the committee next year, and I've honestly, guys, if you hear it from me, if you hear me say I'm optimistic about it, I'm not a pessimist, but if you hear me say that, trust me, these are reliable people, so I'm putting my faith in them. I think next year is going to be better, but it started off decent last year. It's just not always consistent. But if you can't get anything from this ACS, trust me, go Kings. Just go Kings. And then in terms of social life, I think I just hinted on it in the middle of the video. SOAS doesn't have the craziest social life, but we do have like, people tend to throw their own events within their circles or in their accommodation, or also like SOAS is trying to develop like some sociable nights through the bar. I'm not going to really advocate for most of that because of religious reasons. There's quite a lot of students that regularly go to ministry. Okay, if I had to say which are the best courses at SOAS or seem to be, development studies, international relations, and languages. But how many buildings? There's pretty much 3 buildings, but SOAS tends to use other buildings, so we tend to go into Back or UCL sometimes. What are some of the biggest benefits of studying in London as a SOAS student? Well, I would say access to other London universities, libraries, events. So I tend to go to like networking events at other universities like 𝘀ci. I think just the networking opportunities, meeting new people, it's just been super cool. Like, I've made a bunch of different friends from other universities, and I think SOAS is such a good hub for that. It makes you stand out when you speak to other people because you always get the usuals like 𝘀ci's, UCLs or whatever. But when you go to another university, people are going to be like, oh, like that's different. Tell me about that. What's your experience? And yeah, don't shy away from it at all. The optional module opportunity, at a university in London is like a really cool thing. What would I say are the biggest expenses of studying at SOAS? I don't think I faced any like big expenses because I borrow my books. I'm not paying for no books. Travel's fine because I cycle. Maybe just buying out is my biggest regret, like the temptation to buy out. Even the society fees were like quite affordable at one point, but it's bumped up. It bumped up last year, which was a bit annoying. Tickets for like events, they're a bit expensive, but they can't compare to other universities, I can't lie. Like SOAS is not crazy expensive, to be honest. I haven't had canteen food, but I know it's like quite affordable. The shop, it's decent affordable, but that's really it, to be honest. I think the area, when you go outside of SOAS, now it gets expensive. So stay in campus. Pack your lunch and stay in campus. I will be doing a more in-depth video on like expenses of living in London and everything. So make sure you are subscribed. Continue to comment down any questions that you'd love to know on like how I budget weekly, and make sure that I am living effectively in London. I tend to spend £15 a week, maybe a bit off, like a bit over, and that is just because I prefer cooking home cooked meals. I hate eating out. So I'm planning to do a budgeting kind of video on affordable living in London, so make sure you are subscribed. I would say that generally the workload at SOAS is quite manageable, like other than readings, like the pressure of like having to do so many readings. Like Islamic law last year was just crazy. Like I think I counted, it was like 400 pages a week. 𝘁𝘁, come on, how's anybody meant to do that? So like you don't have to do all the readings, but you know, those kind of pressures can be a lot. But on a weekly basis, to just get like your tutorials done, it's not that intense. And then a couple of like mocks for certain modules. I think mocks, they tend to do it for like core modules, they don't really do it for non-core modules, and that will be like in November period, and still that's not that much pressure. So I think SOAS is a pretty chill pace uni. If you try and do your work throughout the year, and even if you do leave it to last minute before the exams, it's very much possible to still get the grade. Exam season is usually towards that May period. What are my favorite spots to study? I would say Centre House Library is my go-to. 𝘁𝑤𝘪𝘵, because like the bright lighting is just so beautiful in there, especially in the morning. Where else? SOAS Library on a certain day, floor B. Ooh, but I also unlocked this spot recently in SOAS Library. I think it's floor C. Okay, and lastly, the goods and the bads about going to SOAS. This is quick fire. Good thing about going to SOAS is the perspective, post-colonial perspective, the diversity in students. There is such a range of like students at this university with different mind views, coming from different countries, so a lot of international students. What's the last good thing about SOAS? I've had a great experience with like lecturers and stuff. The bad things, in so much as I've loved my time with societies, I haven't had the best experiences with their admin. Societies at SOAS can be a bit disorganized. What else? I mean, admin like towards the start of the year wasn't cute, especially when it comes to exam season. It's just a bit problematic. Just critical periods, SOAS be there. And then the last one, I don't know, I feel like sometimes because SOAS students are quite laid back, that can affect like your mindset. When you are in a space where people are very on it, want to get stuff done, you're also going to be pushed to want to do better, because SOAS students, a lot of SOAS students like in and out. That library during term time is not really full. That's not to say that that takes away from the actual university, but it's just a cultural thing and the nature of students. But yeah, that's the end of this video. I hope you guys found this information really helpful and it cleared up any of your doubts about coming to SOAS, because SOAS is so gatekept, and even when I was doing my research, there was just not enough information. If you still have questions, do not hesitate to comment them down below. If you have not already, make sure that you check out this video, which is about my day in the life as a law student at SOAS. And also make sure to subscribe for my upcoming video on a day in the life of a student at SOAS. See you guys in the next video.